They were TV's perfect family. But when the cameras stopped rolling, everything fell apart. One star was caught naked in Vegas with adult film stars. Another was accused of sexual harassment by 4 women. The landlord couple both died within years of each other. She kept her cancer secret while filming. The uncle became Batman's most famous villain, then quietly died teaching college students. What started as America's favorite sitcom family ended in scandal, sickness, and silence. Emmanuel Lewis. Emmanuel Lewis was once one of the most famous child stars in America. From 1983 to 1987, he played Webster, a role that made him a household name. He was small, charming, and instantly recognizable. People adored him. But after the cameras stopped rolling, his life took a strange and painful turn. Fame had given him everything, but it didn't last forever. In 2010, the world got a shocking update. His Georgia home was sold at auction for just $56,000. The reason: he hadn't paid $44,000, $8,141 in taxes, money owed to the state, county, and school board between 2007 and 2010. People couldn't believe it. A man who had earned millions as a child star lost his home over unpaid taxes. That seemed small compared to what he once made. Even more heartbreaking, his mother Margaret was also listed in the foreclosure documents, showing that the financial strain hit the whole family. The $56,000 sale wasn't just a number. It was a symbol of how far he had fallen. But money wasn't the only strange part of Emmanuel's story. There was also his body. At just 3 feet 6 inches in tall, Emmanuel never grew past the size of a young child. What made it more baffling was that doctors couldn't explain it. He had no hormone issues, no genetic condition, no diagnosis at all. He stopped growing at around age 12. From that point on, his height barely changed, just 6 in over decades. His mother took him to doctor after doctor, but they all said the same thing. We don't know why this is happening. His size helped him get the role of Webster, but it also created a problem. Hollywood didn't know what to do with him once he aged out of childhood roles. He didn't look like a man, but he wasn't a kid anymore either. That confusion made it hard to find work. In 2007, Emmanuel quietly stepped away from acting. He had just finished a small role in the comedy Kicking It Old School, and then he disappeared. He turned down offers to join reality shows, including Dancing with the Stars. That would have been easy money. Most former child stars jump at the chance, but Emmanuel didn't want it. He didn't want the spotlight anymore. He moved to a quiet property far outside metro Atlanta, surrounded by horses and silence. He said paparazzi had followed him too much in cities like New York and LA. He couldn't live like that. He wanted peace. Alex Karras. After Webster ended in 1989, Alex Karras's life took a sharp and painful turn. He had been the lovable father figure on TV, but behind the scenes, his health began to unravel. The man once admired for both his strength on the football field and charm on screen started to suffer from memory loss and confusion. By the late 1990s, it was clear something was deeply wrong. Doctors linked his condition to repeated head trauma from his NFL career, which had lasted 12 brutal seasons between 1958 and 1970. Dementia set in. He struggled to remember basic things. Recipes he once loved to cook vanished from his memory. Even driving, something he enjoyed for decades, was no longer possible. His wife, Susan Clark, watched as the man she knew slowly faded. But dementia wasn't the only fight. Karras was also battling heart disease and stomach cancer, which he had quietly lived with for 2 years. Then just 2 days before his death on October 10, 2012, came another devastating blow: kidney failure. It was his final diagnosis. On October 8th, his friend Tom McCartney publicly shared the news. Karras spent his last days at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica before going into hospice care at home in Los Angeles, where he passed away surrounded by family. As his health declined, Karras joined a lawsuit in April 2012 with over 3,500 former NFL players. They accused the league of failing to protect them from head injuries. Karras became a symbol of the damage caused by the game that had made him famous. Just months before his death, he was still fighting, not just for himself, but for countless others suffering in silence. After Webster, Karras's career had faded. His final role came in 1998, 9 years after the show ended. He played a father on The Tom Show, a minor part compared to his earlier success. During the height of Webster, he had hosted Saturday Night Live in 1985 and appeared in ads for brands like Boy and Transformers. But that fame didn't last. Hollywood moved on. What made the fade so tragic was Karras's earlier versatility. He had gone from NFL lineman to sportsair to actor in films like Blazing Saddles to a beloved sitcom star. Most athletes never make such a leap. Yet, when Webster ended in 1989, it felt like his career ended with it. And then there was the old scandal. In 1963, long before Hollywood, Karras was suspended from the NFL for gambling. He and Paul Hornung had both bet on games. Karras even owned part of a Detroit bar tied to gambling and organized crime. At first, he refused to sell his stake and threatened to retire. When he finally admitted to placing bets, he was suspended for a full season. The scandal never truly left him. Even when he returned, his response to a coin toss, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm not permitted to gamble," was a dark joke that reminded everyone of his past. It stuck with him. The story was often brought up long after he had remade himself as a family-friendly TV star. His conflicts with authority ran deep. He clashed with coaches in college, then again in the NFL. That rebellious streak shaped both his career and reputation. It gave him charisma. It also caused trouble that followed him for years. Susan Clark. As for Susan Clark, her life after Webster was completely different. While others chased roles or faded in silence, Clark made a bold choice. She stepped away on her own terms. No scandal, no desperation, just quiet, deliberate retreat. Clark had already won an Emmy for playing Babe Dreen Zahara's in 1975. After Webster, instead of chasing more fame, she turned to theater. She found joy in small,